Hey guys, my name's Everett. I'm going to show you how I put the CA finish on my rings that I do. First step in my rings is I sand them to 600 grit, and then the next step I put little denatured alcohol and I rub it on to the ring, and this allows the CA glue to stick on there very nicely. This cleans up all the dirt and stuff or any dust from the sanding from previous, cleans it up really nicely. So the next step that you do is I turn the RPMs down to around 150 to 250 RPM, and I use this Starbond super fast thin adhesive, and I put just a little bit onto the shop towel and rub it on, and I make sure I get the sides and everything of the ring. And just a few seconds, you don't want it to start drying with the paper towel because it makes marks in the wood when you're doing it. You touch it with your finger, make sure it's dry. Then I just put a little more on. And I do this process about four to five times. Just make sure I get a real good coat. You want to make sure that you get the finish on both sides. You want to get it on the very edge and also the middle, because a lot of people miss the edges and then it's got an uneven finish. So you want to make sure it's spread really evenly. And we can just stop the lathe and check out how the finish is going. You can actually see it's getting really glossy right now. Oh, that's number 4 right there. So the next step that I go with is I take a little higher viscosity. I go to a Starbond medium viscosity right there. I do this with the second step because I already got the first layer on, and this kind of builds up upon the thin setting CA glue, and it makes it look really glossy, and you get that varnish finish that everybody's looking for. So that's all that I really put on it, and I just go very lightly, make sure I get an even spread on it, stop it, and then I make sure it's really even. Alright, so I let that dry for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then the next step is I take my micro mesh sanding pads, and this goes from 1500 all the way up to 12,000. And what I do with the first one, I just lightly sand it. You want to go really lightly because this sanding pad takes away the most material, and you don't want to take away that finish you just put on it. You want to inspect the ring and make sure that there's no high spots or anything. And I can see a few high spots like right there, so I'll just sand that a little more down. And the way to really tell is when the light is hitting it, you can just see the high spots are shiny, and then the low spots haven't been sanded yet, so they stick out more. That is looking pretty good. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start my process. I'm gonna go from 1800 grit all the way up to 12,000 right now. Just sanding. You can sand a little heavier on the other grits just because they don't remove that much material. You really don't have to worry about removing that finish you just put on. But this actually smooths out the CA finish and makes it look really shiny. You want to make sure that you're wet sanding these because that raises the material on the wood, and it actually gets an even sand so that it'll always be nice and smooth. This finish you can get so smooth it's like a plastic finish, so it gets really nice. Once you get up to that 12,000, it's smoother than a baby's bottom. about at 8,000 grit right now, working my way up. I'm almost at 12,000. Then I wipe it off with the shop towel, just real quick. Just stop the lathe and we can see that finish on it. It's just really amazing right there. The next step is I take a plastic polish like this. Some people even use a car wax polish and that works just as good. I like the 𝗬𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 plastic polish because it's just specifically used for this process right here, and I just rub a small amount into the ring, make sure I get it real good, and then I take it off with the clean part of the rag, make sure I get it all. I usually do this process twice just to make sure I got a really nice polish on it. This really improves the ring 1000% because it really shows that finish. So there is the plastic polish after I applied it. Yeah, really nice. Now we are finally on to the final step in the finishing process. Take the ring off of the mandrel. I now go to my buffing wheel, and this buffing wheel wasn't too expensive, and it really puts that final finish on the ring that everybody's looking for. So I just put that in. It's already on a mandrel and everything. Just set that up, make sure it's tight, and then turn it on. I usually go about 1500 RPM up to 2000 RPM. This is the compound block that they give, and this actually does the polishing on the buffing wheel, and you just apply it right onto the wheel like so till the wheel's all blue. I usually put my finger like this in the wheel just to grab onto it, and it actually spins kind of nicely. It's pretty convenient, and then you don't have to worry about holding it and it flying out, dropping on the floor or something. Your newly finished ring just thrown down on the floor violently. That's really a sad day when that happens. That's happened a few times. So this is a process I learned to not do that. So just a few seconds on there. I get the sides also, because sometimes there's glue buildup on the sides in that finishing process. And then you take it to the clean wheel and you remove all the polishing compound, and then it repolishes it really nice. You get really shiny finish on this. It's probably unmatched to anything else. Just doing it in this way. Alright, and then we got our finished ring. I'm gonna show you guys. Very shiny yet. I use the Starbond CA Glue. I use the thick to apply the liner, the thin and the medium for the finishing process, and to do the actual inlay of setting the stones, I use the thick CA glue again. And what really speeds up the process, so you can get the accelerator, I use that, and that helps set it really fast. And there is how I finished my rings.